Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. After a disappointing offensive performance from the Carolina Panthers in week 1 of the NFL season, there's been a significant amount of noise and question marks to come out about this team's receiving core and specifically the skill position players that Bryce Young will be throwing to all season long. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down Hayden Hurst and telling you guys why he will be the most reliable target for the Panthers in 2023. Hayden Hurst has a very interesting story. Let me break down his backstory real quick before I explain to you guys why he's going to be a very reliable target this season. So he's actually a sneaky good athlete. He's a guy who was drafted into the MLB in 2012. His baseball dreams really did not work out, so he walked on at South Carolina. And for a walk-on tight end to go from a guy without a scholarship to a guy who was drafted in the first round is extremely impressive. He went on to have a very nice college career, putting up over 1,200 receiving yards, which was good enough to get him drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in the first round of the 2018 draft. Problem is, in that same exact draft, the Baltimore Ravens ended up drafting Mark Andrews in the third round, and Mark Andrews immediately beat out Hayden Hurst for that tight end 1 spot. So obviously, it was a very bad look for a first round pick to get beat out at the same position in the same draft class by a third round pick. In hindsight, though, for Hayden Hurst, this really did not age poorly, as Mark Andrews has gone on to be one of the more prolific pass catchers out of the tight end position in the last 5 years. After his Baltimore career, he went to Atlanta and actually had 2 very underrated, sneaky good years with Atlanta. But again, his job was taken this time by a first-round pick tight end, Kyle Pitts. They really wanted to move on from Hayden Hurst despite having some good seasons with them. So then he went on to Cincinnati, where with the Bengals last year, I thought he looked sneaky good and very underrated. In 13 games and being one of the last targets that Joe Burrow would look for in his progressions, he still put up 400 yards. And in my opinion, the Bengals are going to miss Hayden Hurst, as they clearly do not have a tight end on their roster that is as good as him. So now he comes to the Carolina Panthers as their number 1 tight end, and in the first game of the season, he was clearly the best receiving threat for Bryce Young all game, as he led the team in catches, receiving yards, and he did have a touchdown. So in 7 targets, he ended up having 5 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. At 6'5", 250 pounds, he's obviously a very big target out there for Bryce Young. One of the main concerns for a rookie quarterback is, of course, keeping the ball safe, and Hayden Hurst is a guy you don't have to worry about throwing interceptions when you do target him, considering how big of a target he is out there, and considering he does get matched up with guys that don't have good ball skills, such as some safeties and linebackers. And as I've already alluded to in this video, he is a sneaky good athlete. He ran a 4.67 40-yard dash time, and he ran a 7.193 cone drill, which really is very agile for a tight end. He has solid foot speed. Is he this crazy route runner out there? No, but he's solid enough with his route running in the short to intermediate part of the field. He's really good at those tight end flats that he did score a touchdown on in the first game of the season. He has a very nice natural catching profile to him as well. He's not a body catcher out there. He really does have strong hands. And overall, I really do trust him to separate on a consistent basis more than I trust any other target on this team. Again, it really is matchup dependent. Is he a better route runner than some wide receivers on this football team? Of course he's not, but I really do trust him getting guarded by linebackers and safeties over I trust any other receiver on this team getting locked down by other cornerbacks. So let's dive into some of the other targets that Bryce Young could favor over Hayden Hurst and why I don't think this could be the case. First off, we have Adam Thielen. Let's just get it right out of the way, guys. Adam Thielen is absolutely washed at this point of his career. He didn't even look that good in his last season with the Vikings, despite always having a high touchdown number. The separation and route skills in Adam Thielen's game just is really not there anymore. He is technically sound and good in terms of his route running, but he really does lack that athletic profile, the agility, the burst he once had that made him so good. He just, at this point of his career, is not physically talented enough anymore to be a consistent threat at wide receiver, especially against some of the young cornerbacks that are coming into today's game. Then, of course, we have DJ Chark, a guy I really like, but at this point of his career, he cannot be trusted because of the lack of health he's had throughout his entire career. Again, DJ is somewhat frail out there as a receiving threat. And then you have Terrence Marshall Jr. He's a very interesting case here. He's very unproven at the NFL level. And if we're going to be completely honest, guys, he just was not good at LSU. I understand he was the favorite target of LSU after that phenomenal 2019 season. In 2020, he was expected to have a big year, and he really did not, as the entire LSU team just was not good after their incredible championship run. He was overdrafted as a really third, fourth, fifth option on that LSU championship team, and he really just has not lived up to expectations. I think it is somewhat fair to say at this point in Terrence Marshall Jr.'s career, he's somewhat living off the coattails of being a part of that magical LSU championship team. Then you have Laviska Shenault. I don't mind Laviska Shenault. He's actually really good with the ball in his hands. And of course, he's a very good yak guy. Overall, besides that, he's very below league average at every single aspect of the wide receiver game. Again, his hands are very shaky and his catching profile is not natural. He's a guy I can see Bryce Young really shying away from to throw to, considering he's going to get a good amount of passes intercepted trying to target Shenault. And then you do have Jonathan Mingo, again, very unproven. He, of course, is a rookie, so he really has not had any NFL tape to put out there. And as a rookie quarterback, you want a more proven target than another rookie out there. And even in college, he was a bit unproven, and the production wasn't entirely there in college. Then you do have two solid running backs that really are somewhat unproven in the receiving game. You have Miles Sanders, a guy who came into the NFL and was actually an excellent receiving threat in his rookie year. But ever since his rookie year, he really has been an absolute non-factor in the receiving game. And the Eagles straight up shied away from him, using him in the receiving game last year in their championship run in which they didn't win the Super Bowl. And Miles Sanders, again, really has not contributed to a receiving game since his rookie year. And then Chuba Hubbard, again, he really has not contributed in the receiving game at the NFL level thus far. So this does leave Hayden Hurst as really the most reliable target, the check down option, the safety blanket for a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young, a guy who doesn't have a great offensive line either. Do I think the Panthers' offensive line is absolutely atrocious? No, I don't, and I think it's being a bit overblown about how bad that offensive line is. But in total, he's going to want to get the ball out of his hands very quickly, and Hayden Hurst is going to be a nice safety blanket for him. Lastly, you do have Frank Reich, the head coach, of course, of the Carolina Panthers, and one of his most prolific coaching jobs ever is, of course, when he was the offensive coordinator to those incredible Eagles teams that did beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And Frank Reich, of course, really targeted and had one of the main focal points of his offense with the Eagles being Zach Ertz, who looked phenomenal under Frank Reich. So in all, I do think Hayden Hurst is going to be a favorite of Frank Reich and Bryce Young going forward. Thanks for listening to today's video of Mike Talk Sports. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with my take that Hayden Hurst is actually the most reliable target for Bryce Young in this season for his rookie year? If you enjoyed today's video, I really appreciate it, guys. Smack that like and hit subscribe.